The Chargers and the Jaguars will do battle with a playoff berth at stake, and this Justin Herbert and Trevor Lawrence stuff has to stop. All that comparison. We're going to talk about it here on a crossover presented by Prize Picks with the Chargers and the Jaguars.
You are Locked On NFL Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
That is a fact. That is your team every day, y'all. I am Tony Wiggins. He is David Drogemeyer, and we are a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network, representing the Locked On Jaguars and Locked On Chargers. That's right. It is the crossover edition presented by Prize Picks here on Thursday, all across the Locked On Podcast Network. And what we need you to do is download the Prize Picks app today and use the code Locked On NFL to get $50 in lineups after you played your first $5 lineup. Shout out to the everydayers of both of these podcasts. These cities have a lot in common. It used to be when the Chargers were in San Diego, they were just alike, right? Because they had Navy towns, but now y'all in LA and y'all ain't got much in common with us no more, Dave. David and I are going to run through it for you. I'm going to give you a little bit of a roadmap of where we're going to go. We're going to in the show talking about game predictions, and then the winning formula right before that. Right smack in the middle, game-changing matchups, and the biggest storylines before that. David, it's all about the playoffs right now. Both teams are chasing. Don't look like they're going to win the division, but both of them look like they're in a pretty good spot today to make the wild card.
Yeah, absolutely. Both these teams are trying to vie for extra games, right? And I think for the Chargers, at least, they're only one game back of the Denver Broncos and also have won all three of their first AFC West matchups. So if they're able to win this game and they're able to keep pace, there's going to be some cannibalization that takes place with the Broncos and the Kansas City Chiefs, who are playing on Sunday. So this is a very, very big matchup for the Chargers, because if they win and Kansas City takes care of business, then the Chargers will sit atop of the AFC West.
Ooh, and then the Jaguars are now 3 games behind the Indianapolis Colts because they blew a 19-point lead last week against the Houston Texans. They were sitting in a real nice spot 2 games back, and they haven't played the Colts at all, so they were in control of their own destiny. They're going to need a little luck now, but as of this point at 5-4, they're really just trying to make sure that they keep up through a tough stretch in their schedule, and then they've been banged up, man. As y'all know, the big news, Travis Hunter is gone for the season, had season-ending surgery on an LCL. Yeah, it was a non-contact injury, man, and he had just really gotten it together. You guys have had your share of injuries too, losing 2 all-world tackles to really stretch your depth on the offensive line.
Yeah, Tony, it's been a big issue for the Chargers, one that, no team would want to deal with. Obviously, every team in the NFL deals with injuries. Nobody cares. Nobody's going to feel bad for you. It is what it is. But it seems like the severity of the injuries that the Chargers have had to deal with has been pretty disgusting. I mean, you lose not only your all-star, all-world left tackle before the season even starts, but then you have your other tackle, Joe Alt, who was playing right side, kick over to left side, look fantastic at it, and then he goes down and he's done for the season. And so the Chargers' offensive line, the interior has always been an issue. We always thought, okay, well, we can kind of get through it because we have both of those all-stars on the outsides. Well, that's no longer the case. So the Chargers have to figure it out and have to go out there and put their 4th, 5th, 6th string tackles out there. And it's definitely been the reason why Justin Herbert has been constantly abused all season long. It's been rough for him, but even through that, he's been able to make plays and still has this team looking really strong at 7-3.
I'm going to get back to him in a minute because y'all are also testing your depth at running back. You're like running back 3 right now. Omarion Hampton, of course, I had him on my fantasy team. That's why I know this without even checking the information. But he's out for a little while, and Najee Harris, he got hurt and banged up. He's gone. So now they're on a 3rd guy, and you got to tell me his name because I'm being jokey here, but I don't really know who he is. But the thing is they're still finding a way to do the things that Jim Harbaugh wants to do in the running game.
Yeah, his name is Kaimani Vidal.
There you go.
He is a a 6th round draft pick from last season, and yeah, I mean, like I said before, the injuries have been massive, and it's just been the importance of the injuries. And as far as Amarian Hampton is concerned, he's probably not going to make it back this week, but the Chargers have their bye week after this week, and Coach Harbaugh said pretty much the plan all along was to get him that full kind of maximum amount of rest through the bye week, activate his window at the start of it, and hopefully get him going for the last, back stretch of this season where you're going to see some really tough opponents like the Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs and the Denver Broncos late in the season. So that's definitely a part where you want to have, your rookie, bruising running back, a guy that can really make a difference. But Kamani Vidal has really held the line. He's done an excellent job of being able to allow the offense to be productive and not be one-dimensional because, as you know, it's a lot easier to play defense against a team that can only do one or the other. When you have the element of both elements of being able to run it and pass it, then you can control the clock, you can control the down and distance, you can hit the play action game, and it actually can be deceptive. So Kaimani Vidal being able to provide some quality play on the ground has made a huge difference for this Chargers offense with the offensive line being in the shape that it's in.
Sounds like that. I've got to turn to the quarterbacks real quick because I joked and talked about those dudes often being compared to each other. I'm gonna tell you, I think Trevor Lawrence gets the worst of the chatter when when these quarterbacks are mentioned. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I think Justin Herbert kind of gets away with it a little bit because for people that talk about Lamar Jackson as if he has done absolutely nothing in the playoffs, they don't give Justin Herbert that same kind of smoke. And to be honest, he hasn't done anything in the playoffs.
Tony, that's you in your bubble, my friend. Believe me, he gets all the smoke in the world because the talent is undeniable for Justin. We know that. He can make every throw on the field. He right now is second in passing yards, number one in rushing yards in the league for a quarterback. Like, he's throwing up all of the big stats like he does every year, but it's not going to change until he erases the horrible losses that he has had in the playoffs, obviously being one of them against the disgusting Jacksonville Jaguars game that all Charger fans would like to wipe from their memory. But there are still some members of that team that are still on the team now, obviously Justin Herbert being one of them. And you better believe they've had this game circled on the calendar. This is absolutely a revenge game. They want to get that lick back. It's not going to mean the same because it's the regular season, but for Justin Herbert to change the stigma about him, he does have to do it in the postseason. He's got to change that record. Fair or not, it's a team game, right? It's not all on him, and neither of those losses in the playoffs were completely on him. But at the quarterback position, when you get paid the amount of money that they get paid, then the responsibility gets dropped on their head. Like I said, fair or not. Yeah. So Justin gets a lot of criticism for that. Believe me, I hear it. I see it all the time, but it's not going to change until he gets those W's where it really, really counts in the playoffs.
All right, so we're going to talk about game-changing matchups here in segment 2. We'll also mention I got this strange feeling only because I got Justin Herbert on my fantasy team for like the 3rd straight year. Sometimes he seems to struggle in 1:00 games on the East Coast. It just for some reason to me, I'm like, he ain't going to struggle again. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm just like you say in my bubble a little bit. But we're going to get to that. Talk about both of these lines, the pass rush, and how we expect this game to go. And we'll do all of that here on a crossover edition. Here on Thursday, presented by Prize Picks on the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcasting network. And we'll get to it in just a second. All right, today's show is sponsored and brought to you by Supply House. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep, whether you're in LA, San Diego, or Jacksonville. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while these industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered.
Their Trade Master perks like priority shipping and dedicated support make the whole process even that much smoother. Join the free Trade Master program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use the promo code SH as in Supply House NFL5. That's SHNFL5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. And of course, today's show is sponsored and brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks. And you know they are our sponsor for today's show here on Thursdays. And you and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement of this sports season. Whether you're following the NFL, NBA, or both, there's no better time to jump in on the action. If you haven't tried it yet, Prize Picks is the simplest way to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats, and if you get them right, you will win. It takes less than 60 seconds to make your lineup, and you can play anywhere Prize Picks operates, including California, Texas, and Georgia. I bet you need to probably go more if you're thinking like Drogy is over there for the Chargers on touchdown passes for Justin Herbert, since they have revenge on their mind. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Rolling along here on the Thursday crossover presented by Prize Picks with my man Drogy from Locked On Chargers, David Drogemeyer, and I am Tony Wiggins. Here's what we got, man. Game-changing matchups. I'm going to look right at the struggling health of the left tackles and the right tackle and say that Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker need to have a day. But here's the problem. They played Houston last week, who got one of the worst offensive lines in the league with a rookie left tackle, and I don't know who at right tackle, and we didn't get a peep on Houston, and we got killed by Davis Mills as they scored 26 points in the fourth quarter, and that's left a bad taste in people's mouths. So I think our defensive line has a little bit of a chip on their shoulder to come out and play better this week, David.
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly one of the big matchups that's going to decide pretty much any game. But yeah, the Chargers offensive line versus the Jaguars pass rush is a big one. And the Chargers have played some of the best pass rush units in the league this year. Jaguars are pretty much middle of the pack. They're 19th in pressure percentage. They're ranked last in sack percentage. They're tied with the 49ers for the least amount of sacks in the league with 12. Could be a different looking line for the Chargers, as, they've had Bobby Hart, who's been out with an injury last game. But, when he's been in the lineup, he's played very, very good football. He's only allowed 4 pressures and 0 sacks and over 150 pass blocking snaps across a couple of games. So I would think that you're probably going to see Bobby Hart back at right tackle if he's able to put together a couple of good practices, get back there, show that he's ready to go. And on the left side, they've been rolling with Austin Deculus, who has been a backup. He's probably our 5th or 6th string option at left tackle. The Chargers traded for Trevor Penning before the deadline. And so obviously I figured it was going to be a little too premature to put him out there on Sunday Night Football after only being in the building for a few days. But there are reports out there that he's going to be focusing pretty exclusively at left tackle in practice. And I would not be surprised at all if you see Trevor Penning out there on the left side with Bobby Hart on the right side. And I think that might be the best case scenario options for the Chargers. And for Trevor Penning, this is an opportunity for him to play his way into the Chargers' future plans, whether it is at guard or at tackle. I mean, they're set at the starting position at tackle, but the Chargers got a lot of cap space going into the next season. So if Trevor Penning wants to earn a job with the Chargers, he's going to have his opportunity to show it in these last 7, 8, 9 games, however many they're afforded.
How have y'all been able to combat the fact that you were hurting at tackle? Has it been a quick passing game, or has Justin Herbert just been using his legs, or has it been a struggle?
It's been all three. At times, Justin Herbert has absolutely gotten abused. He's gotten hit a lot. I think he's been pressured more than any quarterback in the NFL. But also, he's number 1 in the league in rushing yards at the quarterback position. So he has definitely used his legs a whole lot more mostly out of necessity. Like he's tired of getting hit, and also he can do it. Like he is a very underrated runner of the football. When he gets out in open space, like the guy can really gallop. I mean, he is a difference maker. And whenever you have to defend everybody on the football field, including the quarterback, that makes things a little bit more difficult for opposing defenses. So Justin Herbert definitely getting hit a lot, but also just playing through it, fighting through it, and making the plays when it counts, when the Chargers desperately need him to win football games. And he's already done that a couple of times this season.
All right, so from outside looking in, what you got for me? I know there's big questions about the Jags are 5-4. Some people think that it's all smoke and mirrors. Some actually do believe they've improved. What you got for me for Charger fans?
Definitely. I think for me, one of the biggest matchups is actually going to be the Chargers defensive coordinator Jesse Minter versus Liam Cohen, who was the offensive coordinator for the Bucs last year, and the Bucs beat the brakes off of the Chargers last year, 40-17. Gave up over 500 yards of offense. 40 is the most points that Jesse Minter has ever given up. Also the most yards as well. And Baker Mayfield was, shooting at over 81% completion. It was, 81%, 4 tutties. It was a great performance against the Chargers defense. So that cat and mouse game is going to be very, very interesting. How Liam Cohen's going to call that offense. I know they want to run the football. How is that balance looking there for the Jacksonville Jaguars now that, obviously we know what Travis Etienne is and what he's going to do. Who's the pass catchers that the Chargers fans should be paying attention to in this game?
Oh, that's a real good question. It's almost a trick question because it's been more pass droppers than pass catchers. Brian Thomas Jr. has had a terrible sophomore season. What is the cause of it? Whether it's changing the offense, the concentration. He did take a couple of hard hits in the preseason, and folks started to say that they noticed that he was changing a little bit. They need him to get going, and I don't know if he's going to get going this week because he's been out with a little bit of an ankle sprain. Right now, it looks like it's going to be a heavy dose of Parker Washington, a heavy dose of Jacoby Myers, who just got traded in from the Raiders. You guys have seen him a number of times over the years, and Diami Brown, who's been up and down after signing a 1-year deal. The Jaguars, I think they're going to get Brenton Strange, their tight end, their safety valve back. But outside of that, man, it has been up and down. The Jaguars, in the 5 games that they've won, they've had all these heroes, and guys have stepped up. In the 4 games that they've lost, especially the one against the Texans in the fourth quarter, and the one against the Rams, we'll just throw that one out because they were beat. They got beat like a drum from the very beginning when they went overseas. But I'm telling you, man, it's just been a tale of 2 teams, sometimes within the same game. They have a name for it. It's called the Trevor Lawrence experience, where he will frustrate you because he will make throws that Justin Herbert, I often refer to him as somewhere like Jameis Winston and Jay Cutler. And what that means is they will make throws that only a handful of guys can make, and then they'll make mistakes that you think a high school kid should make sometimes. And so that's the thing about it. It's not his talent. It's not that his highs aren't high. It's just that the variance between the highs and lows is so big, and it could literally happen not only from one half to another or one quarter to another or one drive to another. It could literally happen one play to another. And that's the thing that he has to improve. Now, there's always been this talk about the offensive line wasn't good enough. The weapons aren't good enough. The coaching staff wasn't good enough. Well, he's on his 4th coach now, so we can't keep going down that road. Let me see, Urban Meyer. Yeah, so he's on his 4th coach right now. And the thing is look.
Do we even count Urban Meyer? I mean,
yeah. Well, I don't know. We might not count him or his assistant or whoever that was that took over for him when he left. But we do, because that could have been what started this kid's career off and put a bad taste in his mouth, and now he hasn't been able to overcome it, and he's continued to play catch up. So I think you all are going to see. In fact, y'all have seen it in the game that you referenced, the big comeback game. He threw 4 interceptions in the first half. Yeah, that's why they were down 27.
He did.
Nothing.
Yeah,
and then he came all the way back, and then he looked like Dan Marino in the second half. But the thing is, that in a nutshell is the Trevor Lawrence experience. And if they're going to win this game, man, they got to do a lot better than that. We're going to talk about the winning formula and a game prediction. Maybe a score prediction for me. In fact, on the squad show today, earlier or yesterday, I actually gave a 31-30 prediction for the Jaguars to win on a walk-off field goal. So I ain't trying to rub salt in the wound, man. But we're gonna get to a little bit more of that and let you smack me back here in just a second on the crossover edition between Locked On Chargers and Locked On Jaguars. All right, today's show is sponsored and brought to you by BetterHelp. As the days get shorter and the nights come earlier, it can start to feel a little heavier, especially when life is already packed with work, family, and everything else. This season, it is so important to reach out and check in with friends, family, and even yourself. Just like checking in on a teammate or reconnecting with someone you haven't seen in a while, it can really lift your spirits. Reaching out for therapy can make a real difference too. BetterHelp makes that first step easier by connecting you with a licensed therapist online from wherever you are. Therapy works. I am proof positive. I know everybody looks at me sometimes and thinks that, oh, he's strong-minded, he's strong-willed, he can get over it, he can figure it out. No, I actually do, but I do it with the help of therapy, and you can do the exact same thing with BetterHelp. This month, don't wait to reach out, whether you're checking in on a friend or reaching out to a therapist yourself. BetterHelp makes it simple to take that first step. Listeners get 10% off their first month and at betterhelp.com/lockedon. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon, because taking that step towards support might just leave you wondering, why didn't I do this sooner? All right, running it down here. We are turning towards home plate here on a crossover edition presented by Prize Picks between David Drogemeyer of Locked On Chargers, as well as myself, Tony Wiggins, of Locked On Jaguars and Locked On NFL. All right, David, what's the winning formula for the Chargers to come in Duval County and get a win?
Yeah, it's something that you kind of mentioned earlier on in the show, which has absolutely been the truth. The Chargers have to start fast. And all three of the Chargers' early East Coast games against the Giants, Dolphins, and Titans, the Chargers have been very sluggish and kind of sleptwalk through the beginning of those games. Starting fast allows you to really get into your full game plan offensively and protect your quarterback by being able to run the football. The Chargers were outscored 28-13 in the first quarter in those East Coast games against the Titans, Giants, and Dolphins. And also, that could make the Chargers, make the Jaguars more one-dimensional if they get behind. So starting fast is crucially important on these cross-country trips.
Yeah, for me, I would say starting fast because it's something that the Jaguars don't typically do. And then I made a short, like we always do before game day, right? About an hour before the game last week, I said the Jaguars need to start off fast. In fact, get a nice little 10-0 league. I even mentioned the score 10-0, and then I gave a whole bunch of other things that had to happen. The Jaguars were up 10-0, and I started peacocking and posting stuff all over Twitter. Like, hey, look, I'm omniscient. Look what your boy said. Yeah. And they're doing it. And then they go up 29-10, and then they get walked down and smoked. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, well, that formula goes out of the window. So here's what I got to tell you what they got to do. They just got to go out and figure out a way to win the game. They have to stay from those long down and distance situations. They have put themselves behind the 8 ball with pre-snap penalties, some penalties after the snap, illegal formation, all kinds of stuff, man, that puts them in bad down and distance situations. And because they've had a trouble pass blocking here over the last 3 or 4 weeks, Trevor Lawrence has been running for his life. He got sacked 7 times twice, and then I think another time he got sacked 6 times. That's too many times for a dude to be getting hit, not to mention some of the times when he had to actually leave the pocket when receivers were open and he wasn't able to get on the ball. So I would say stay out of the long down and distance situations, and they'll be at least give themselves a fighting chance. We got a kicker that could kick it from Texas. So yeah, as long as we cross midfield and don't screw up like last week, Trevor Lawrence got him back in game-winning field goal territory, and they got a penalty, dude, and it knocked them out of it, and then they had to try a Hail Mary.
That's hard to do with a kicker that can kick it 70 yards.
I know it, man. It's real hard to do. On the flip side,
they got to get the Chargers off the field on third down. And I know that's very, very difficult to do because Keenan Allen, who came back home, is a first down waiting to happen. He ought to change his name to first down, by the way. And Ladd McConkey can run after the catch. And the Jaguars always historically, maybe not so much this year, although Brock Bowers destroyed them when they played Vegas. Rondé Gatson, man, he has become another one of those tight ends, dude. I got to call him a Rondé Gatson Jr. because I'm so old. I remember his dad played.
Yes.
But he just seems like that dude that can drag across the formation and snatch the ball out of the air and run like the wind to the first down marker. So I think the Jaguars have to be very, very critical. It's very critical that what they do is get the Chargers off the field on third down. And I think they'll have a little bit of a chance to win.
Yeah, I mean the third downs is important for both these teams. The Chargers, that's one of mine as well. Is continue the third down magic. The Chargers are second in the NFL in third down conversion percentage, sitting at 47.55%, and they're over 50% in their last 3 games. And on defense, they're also fourth in third down conversion percentage allowed, sitting at 34.17%. And over the last 3 games, it's under 20%. Conversion percentage allowed. So they have been absolutely fantastic on third down, offensively and defensively. They have to continue that success, and if they do, they're going to put themselves in a very good position to win the game.
All right, so game prediction for me is, by the way, I joke around about this, but that 31-30 game, I don't know if people really pay attention to this. That dude almost missed that field goal. Do you remember what that?
Yeah, I do.
He almost missed, and Al Michaels was on the call. I was in the press box. But nobody talks about that field goal was just about no good. And the Chargers would have actually advanced in the playoffs. But I think it's going to come down to the Jaguars have only had one game that wasn't they had 2 games that wasn't a one-score game. Like I said, I'm throwing out the Rams game. And then early in the year, the first game of the year, they won 26-10 against Carolina. But other than that, it's always been one score. Even when they had 5 turnovers or something like that against the 49ers. 49ers were driving to win the game, and then they got another turnover. So I'm just going to say that they're going to play it close. Hopefully the gritty Jaguars will show up, and they'll play it close, and they will win the game. So I'm going to go ahead and go with that walk-off kick as my thing. I'm just joking with you about the 31-30. But wouldn't it be something if that happened again? That'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
It would be something, but also I probably wouldn't show my face for the next week if that actually did take place again. But for the Chargers, the last thing is that they got to protect the football. The Jaguars have the second best turnover differential in the league. They're really good at it. So you got to protect the ball. You cannot lose the turnover battle and expect to win this game. As far as predictions are concerned, I know the Chargers are motivated to win this game. I know it. I know that several players have talked about it. It is important. And also, like I said in the beginning, if they really want to be able to put themselves in position to win this division for the first time in 15 years, then they have to win this game to continue to keep pace with the Denver Broncos, which I think are a little fraudulent, to be honest with you. That offense is not very good, and even with the issues that the Chargers have had on the offensive line, they've been more productive on the offensive side, and their defense has been just as good. I think if the Chargers protect the ball in this game, I think they're going to come in motivated and playing very physical like they have the last several games, and I have them picking up this win. It's going to be a close game because I think these two teams are closer than further apart. And so with that being said, I got a 34-28 victory for the Chargers.
Yeah, and you know what? I will say this, both teams, especially you guys, since we got a young guy, I like him though. Both teams are definitely coached way better than they were. That was Doug Peterson
without a doubt.
And Brendan Staley, I think that's his name. And
who? We don't say that name around
y'all
here.
don't even acknowledge him anymore, right?
No.
I got you. Well, look, man, you guys, if you're traveling to Jacksonville, travel safely. We'll see you at the stadium. And I look forward to having a really, really good atmosphere this week. The Jaguars need the victory. The Chargers want to keep rolling. And, of course, after the game, you'll get it from both of us. I don't know your schedule over there, Drogi, but I know we'll come right after the game with a post-game show.
Yep.
And on Monday, make sure you check out Locked On NFL because Tyler Rowland will drop that spicy on you so early Monday morning, like a double shot of espresso, and I'll swing back through the barbershop with a double dose. So we're going to have recaps, shorts, all over the place. because we're always all over it here on the Locked On Podcast Network, because we are the number one sports podcasting network. That's right. Number one, baby. Undisputed. All right. For David Drogemeyer and Locked On Chargers, make sure you check him out each and every day. I'm Tony Wiggins with Locked On Jaguars. We don't take your time for granted, man. Exactly 30 minutes with us here today. And we definitely appreciate you here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.